The Russian government has made numerous death threats against me. They want to kill me. They'd like to kidnap me. They'd like to have me arrested and sent back to Russia.
Treasury has gone public with its view. The Russian leader is corrupt.
He supposedly draws a state salary of something like $110,000 a year. That is not an accurate statement of the man's wealth. And
Putin's system is a system based on fear, and it is fear designed to silence people so he can get on with his business of looting the country.
Vladimir Putin is the current president of Russia, former prime minister and KGB member. Putin was born on October 7, 1952 in Leningrad, Russia, USSR. He studied law at Leningrad State University before joining the Secret Service. Putin in total served 15 years as a foreign intelligence officer for the KGB, including 6 years in Dresden, East Germany. In 1990, he retired from active KGB service with the rank of lieutenant colonel and returned to Russia. Soon after his return, Putin became advisor to Sobchak, the first democratically elected mayor of St. Petersburg. He quickly won Sobchak's confidence and became known for his ability to get things done. By 1994, he had risen to the post of first deputy mayor. Then, in 1998, Boris Yeltsin, the Russian president, made Putin the director of the Federal Security Service, and the following year appointed him as prime minister and his heir. Putin has served as president of Russia from 1999 to 2008 and 2012 to present day, as well as the prime minister from 2008 to 2012. He took over the presidency following Yeltsin's December 31, 1999 resignation and was elected to the permanent post on March 26, 2000. After serving 2 terms, Putin stepped down to make way for his successor, Dmitry Medvedev, who appointed Putin to the post of prime minister immediately upon taking office in May 2008. Putin has dominated Russia's government over the past 20 years and seems to constantly stay in high ranks. The government of Russia is a federal, semi-presidential republic according to the 1993 Constitution. Under a semi-presidential structure, the president and prime minister share governing responsibilities as the head of state and head of government, respectively. Multiple political parties are represented throughout the government and its administration. 3 branches share the responsibilities of running the country: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The president acts as the head of the executive branch of the government and is elected by the general population to serve a 6-year term. This office is limited to 2 consecutive terms. The president is heavily involved in both the domestic and foreign policies of the country. They are also the commander-in-chief of the military and has the power to veto any laws or policies set forth by the legislative branch. The President of Russia also has the ability to establish laws without review or approval by other governmental bodies. This power is beyond what a president typically has under this type of governmental systems.
So how has Putin been able to stay in power so long and constantly get re-elected? Well, it is very clear that Putin is a totalitarian dictator of Russia who has corrupted the democratic government. Putin has used many different ways to stay in power and undermine the government and the Russian people. Like the KGB, which Putin once served for, he has secret services that respond to his demands. There are 3 main intelligence agencies that aid Putin: the FSB, SVR, and GRU. He has used these groups to his advantage and to stay in power. Putin is no longer afraid of diplomatic consequences, so he has unleashed the GRU. Jay Aloti, the senior non-residential fellow at the Institute of International Relations, Prague, said at an interview with France 24, Putin isn't afraid of any consequences because no one in Russia can punish him for his actions. These spy agencies have been used to commit horrible offenses to protect Putin. A number of prominent opponents of Putin, journalists, politicians, former associates have died or been injured in violent or suspicious circumstances, both at home and abroad. Just one example of an innocent person who has spoken against Putin and has been killed is Alexander Litvinenko. He died in London in 2006 after ingesting polonium 210, allegedly during a meeting at a restaurant with ex-KGB contacts Andrei Lujovi and Dmitry Kovtun. At the time of his poisoning, Litvinenko was working for the British Secret Service. The British government concluded he was poisoned by the Russian government. Putin and the Russian government have denied all claims, but there is substantial evidence that he is behind all of the killings.
Not only has he used and controlled intelligence agencies to eliminate opponents, he has control over other aspects such as the Russian media as well. Putin is using the news and television to constantly spread fake news about himself and the Kremlin. By its very nature, Russian state television's prime directive is to ensure support for President Vladimir Putin remains high and voices of criticism are kept on the margins. It looks like, a program from Brezhnev age or even Stalin's age, said Dmitry Kolev, a deputy editor with online publication MAC in Yekaterinburg. It really looks like Soviet propaganda. You can't take it seriously. Putin is portraying himself as a normal citizen and guide to try and have the Russian people connect with him. This gives Putin a huge advantage over other candidates in the elections because he is constantly gaining popularity.
Since Putin has been consistently getting re-elected, he had been involved in the government for a very long time. While in power, Putin has undercut the government and people many times. Allegedly, he makes around $676,000 every 6 years he is president. However, UK Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Tom Tugendhat states that $300 billion or more has been stolen from the Russian people by Putin. What he is doing would easily get him impeached if he was in the United States as the president. But since he has so much control over the government in Russia, it is hard for his power to be taken away. He has used the government to build up his own net worth and help himself like a true dictator would. Vladimir has corrupted the government and taken away so much from the Russian people.
Putin is a very dangerous and secretive person who has created an empire for himself in Russia. He has easily ruled over Russia for the past 20 years as president and prime minister. The Russian people have turned a blind eye to Putin and haven't realized the government he is really creating. Putin has corrupted the Russian government and there are no real checks on his power. The government ages in Russia are turning back to the Stalin ages unless a change of power can occur. He poses as a threat to the Russian people and the entire world. Russia is such a strong country, and with a tyrant like Putin who is unpredictable and dangerous, Russia and the whole world is a threat to his rule.